Now, on one level, that's great. This is about a guy who wants to blend in with the universe. But on another level, it completely explains why somebody gets liberation from killing somebody, because they get that realization of the all, yeah, the all-encompassing power, the all universal control within that one act. However, it's not that simple. I mean, even from childhood, our morals are being attacked all the time. For example, there is a character called Huggy Wuggy, and the song is, when he hugs you, he'll never stop. He'll squeeze you until you pop. Yeah?
Hmm.
And this is a character which they give to children. So when you accept the character, you're accepting the totem. You're also accepting the philosophy that goes behind it as well. You know, essentially, Huggy Wuggy is a killer, and if you're giving your child Huggy Wuggy, you are maybe out of awareness changing the moral guidelines of your child.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, they're doing that in the schools with the Darren Shan books. The Darren Shan books that's compulsory reading at age 11 are about young children who invite a spirit in, and the spirit makes them want to kill their parents and their sister, but it gives them psychic powers. So, oh, children, and then the person gets their limbs hacked off and blood sprays over them. It's really sick stuff. And it's true. I tracked the guy down. Now, he doesn't use his real name, the scumbag. I tracked him down. I said, what you're doing is sick. Do you know your scumbag books are compulsory reading for 11-year-olds in schools? And he went, I tried to make people aware of good and evil. I said, but your books are just purely about evil. I mean, it's the schools are doing, see, the schools are hit with this satanic energy, you see.
I don't think they're necessarily hit with satanic energy. I think the point is that at the moment there is a very twisted energy that is going around. You know, sort of like we can't mention too many things because it's YouTube, but there are many contradictory statements, and if people believe in these statements, then they live in a world which becomes topsy turvy.
Mm,
And right, white is black, black is white. And this is why it's really important for young people, everybody, to work on their spirituality. I would say that even if a person was a atheist, it's still good to read things like the Bhagavad Gita and works like this, because it, if you like, it gives you a grounding in what is correct and the correct way to behave, and your, if you like, your ability to become a better person.
mm.
Where you're quite right, everything nowadays is tinged with an awful black, and without too much investigation, you can go back to ancient Greek for this. That's why I mentioned the cacodemon. It's it's like the Indian shaman. We have two wolves. Which one is the most powerful? It's the one I feed. Yeah. So
Mm.
essentially, you have the cacodemon, you have the eudodemon. Whichever one you feed is the one that will reward you.
Mm.
And
But
I
what
don't,
about what about things like crop circles and cattle mutilations? What about these beings' involvement in our lives? Because they are multidimensional, they are cleverer than us, and they are the negative ones. Obviously, feed off us. What about dealing with them?
well, I think the thing is you have to be careful. Yeah. Okay. And the reason why I say you have to be careful is if there were entities that could mutilate cattle, cause time expansion, and completely mess people's lives up, why do you think the government is telling you about them?
They're not telling us about them, though, are they?
Well, yeah, there's enough papers out there. I mean, I remember this stuff first started in the National Enquirer, didn't it? And then it creeped into the UFO magazines. And then from the UFO magazines, it ended up in
Yeah, but
so-called.
it's very fringe, isn't it? I mean, it's very fringe. If you ask your average person, do they believe in these creatures? They will say no. They'll laugh at you. I mean, you know, we have to be careful about the title we're going to call this podcast because you just get attacked by people. You know, like me
Well, yeah, but
talking
like,
about Brady and talking about it being something else. They just think, oh, you're sticking up for this. They want to put it in a box. They want to say, yes, evil's out there, but don't worry, everyone, we've got it caged. There it is, it's caged. We're in control. Humanity's in control. But actually, it's not. These other beings are top of the food chain. We're their food. I mean, so we're not in control. I think that's pretty much hidden. I don't think it's acknowledged, especially not by a mainstream individual. A mainstream individual will think that there's a serial killer, they're psychopaths, they're sadists, we've got them locked up, it's all sorted, everything's sorted, we know what's going on, there's nothing mysterious about the planet. You live, then you die, and then that's it. I would say certainly in England that's what the average person thinks. I mean, we're practically
well,
atheists, really. We're an
well, I
atheist
mean, yeah, yeah,
country.
yeah. Apparently, I've read some figures that England is now 80% atheist. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, all we care about here is house prices going up, dinner parties. Oh, and where have you been on holiday this year? That's all we care about. The world's in meltdown, and the only thing we care about is, little children are getting murdered. We're traumatizing different parts of the world. We're importing the young men from there. They're traumatized. They're acting it out on the young women. It's a right bloody mess. You got people like that let be murdering babies. The place is chaos. But
Yeah,
we just turn
but what
away
you
and
have to,
focus
yeah,
on
yeah,
Marx
but what
and
you have to
bloody
remember,
Spencer.
but what you have to remember is, Chris, is that all this has gone on regardless. Yeah. Okay. This isn't a new phenomena. Okay. We can go back to the time of Joan of Arc, and allegedly there was, serial killing gone on in the time of Joan of Arc. So, you have to remember that that this brand of evil has always been there. But the difference now is, of course, is you switch on your mobile phone or your internet, and you're inundated with all the nastiness. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And also there was good things. Obviously Joan of Arc, she this is good. These interdimensional beings, there are some good ones. Like Joan of Arc was yes, why she was burnt. She was a conduit for benevolent interdimensional beings, obviously. So there's good and bad out there. But I mean, you've done a lot of work on the jinn, you've studied them. You said something interesting about Bianchi being that these beings can only have hold for a certain amount of time?
Yeah, well, I mean, once again, it's sort of if if we look at this from, say, like a jinn perspective, um, the only jinns that bother us are younger jinns, okay, and they're working for older jinns. I saw a jinn interviewed who belonged to a serial killer, and the jinn was talking about raising its status within the jinn army, and it used the serial killer to buy that status. Yeah,
Mm.
it wasn't interested in the human, and it wasn't interested in what they killed, but it understood the more this human killed other humans, the more evil it was, and therefore the more the jinn grew in status. Yeah. I
Mm.
mean, that might seem overtly simplistic, but if your job is to serve something like the Iblis, and the Iblis doesn't like us, then the more harm you can do to us, the better it is for your chances of promotion, etc., etc., within the realm of the jinn. And however, the point is that for that jinn to enter your life, or the bad spirit, you know, the cacodemon, yeah, to enter your life, you have to do some kind of pact with it. And it's either a voluntary pact or an involuntary pact. I mean, most of these serial killers usually have very disturbed backgrounds. You know, none of them are like normal. Well, a few are, but very few are normal people that then suddenly decide to go killing. There's usually some really disgusting background that they come out of, and it's usually within that background that they make a deal, either consciously or subconsciously. However, the person I was talking about in the time of Jeanne d'Arc was Giles de Rais. Now, Giles de Rais wanted to be evil, and he paid black magicians and everything to summon the devil for him. Yeah. And one of the ideas he had for summoning the devil was to get children and chop their heads off, or saw their heads off while they were sat on his knee. Yeah. Okay. So, you know, like I said, you know, this evil and wanting to sort of reach the personification of evil goes right back to Joan of Arc. So, you know, we have to be careful to think, oh, this is happening now. No, it's not. It's not. It's just more people are more aware of it now. Okay, and you're absolutely right. The world is built on sand. You've only got to scratch it, and you come up with the worst corruption and the worst filth that you could ever imagine. Yeah. However, you know, the point is to we are like fish. Whatever we vibrate, we attract. Okay. So if you work on yourself, if you work on getting yourself harmonized, if you work on becoming a better person, you should eventually fold into a lifestyle where you meet these people, because essentially, you know, as above, so below. However, I agree with everything that you said. I mean, you know, the schooling now, they don't teach the Greek classics. Yeah, some schools don't even teach religion, and the point being is that you're removing the moral markers that people need as to when they get older. And you know, that has got a great deal to do with why we're in the state we're in, and also the instant gratification of, say, something like YouTube or whatever. You know, people are only living for the hit; they're not living for the consequence.
But going back to people like Fritz Springmeier, who we talked to last week, and Area 51, etc., we've got these people now coming out of the military. There was one recently that I think he's still serving, and I think he was very well respected, and I think he had to then speak to the Pentagon about the government having this interaction with these these beings. They've been doing it for a long time, and the Nazis were offering sacrifices to them at Velversberg Castle. I believe that these beings now, whether you call them jinn or whatever you call them, I believe that they've got hold of the steering wheel of the planet, and I think they're steering it into really dark waters. Do you think that they're going to do disclosure, as they call it, disclosure? As Stephen Greer calls it, disclosure. Do you think they're going to do it anytime soon? Because I think people like in this Let Be case, to go back to it, I know it's the subject of our show and people get angry that we're not focusing on that. I find it hard to focus on something